Your Rumble Pak doesn't need batteries, it's the new age! Hello and welcome to what I like to call a Sunday project. This is a subset of the Sunday Cookie series, and it's usually for more technical projects in nature, like mods or repairs, stuff like that, but usually more smaller jobs that don't really fit the format of a more traditional video. Today, we are going to look at a mod for the N64 Rumble Pak, which should enable us to not need these guys. So basically, if we have a look at the screen real quick, the Console Mods, great website, check it out, link in the description. Called this the Rumble Pak Power Mod. And basically, all you need to do is install this bodge wire. Theoretically, anyway, should be pretty straightforward. So instead of the Rumble Pak needing to run off the batteries, it just plugs straight into the 3.3 volt line of the N64. And for the most part, there are no drawbacks to this. However, it should be noted, and I'm going to put this early in the video just so you know, that it's recommended that you don't play an N64 with more than 2 modded Rumble Paks plugged in at the same time. Obviously, you can have up to 4. Apparently, that will drag way too much power for the N64 and cause issues. So if you really have 4 controllers with 4 Rumble Paks, make sure at least 2 of them are running on batteries and the other 2 can be modded. Haven't tested that myself, that's just what the internet says. And you know, the internet says a lot of things. So rumor has it, this mod here was actually used on Nintendo 64 kiosks back in the day. So they didn't have to worry about battery leakage and the like. So this is not a new mod. It's new to me. I only discovered this the other day, and when I bought this Rumble Pak a very long time ago, right at the start when I started collecting, and you know, back in the blog days, this had the batteries in it still and they were leaked. And if we go back to a really old video, one of the very first repair videos for this channel, in fact, it's me basically cleaning the corrosion out of this. And it's the video where I learnt that you should be using white vinegar to clear corrosion. It just works way better than isopropyl alcohol, and I've just been touting it as a miracle liquid ever since. So being personally, like, I don't mind swapping out batteries. Like, batteries are cheap. Like, if you live in Australia, go to Bunnings and buy this brand, Vata. They're the best brand, or the best, cheapest brand, I should say. Like, there's a lot of cheap batteries out there and a lot of them are garbage, but you know, these ones feel nice and hefty. Like, you can usually just tell by sort of like how heavy they are. These are great. You can buy them in bulk, super cheap. But I may go sometimes months without using this, and it's kind of the reason why I haven't used it that much since I've owned it, because it's just too much of a hassle. But presumably with this mod, that won't be a problem. So let's transfer over to that desk instead of this desk and let's see what happens. Okay, we're at the other desk. So this should, in theory, be quite simple. We just need the controller pack, some wire, a game bit screw, which are very cheap and easy to find online. These have special screws. They're not standard Phillip heads or, you know, flat heads or anything like that. We'll need this just to cut the wire, some solder, and a wire stripper. All very basic stuff, in theory. So to disassemble it, we just need to take out these 2 screws. Thought I'd lost the screws there for a second. These are great, little magnetic trays to hold screws. Look at that. Magic. So, this should just open up. Just be cautious of this wiring here that's used for the motor. We don't want to lose that. That's what makes the Rumble Pak rumble, after all. So this should just come out. Yep. Feel it's nice and heavy, got a bit of heft to it. So we can put this side of the casing to the side for now. So let me just grab that photo from consolemods.com. So we're running a wire from the positive solder point on from the battery, the battery hole, and that's going to be running up to this via here. So I'll bring this in a little bit closer to the camera. It's the one just above the letters of E and N where it says Nintendo. That's where we want to, is that in focus? That's where we want to solder the wire to. So, if we just pull this guy out, put that to the side. So that via is that hole there, just to the top left of my index finger, next to the black socket. So I guess we can just pull that out, can't we? Don't pull out by the wires, just, can we pull that out? Yes, we can. All right, that should make it a bit easier. Yeah, so there is still a little bit of corrosion on these leads, but it hasn't caused any problems all these years later, so I'm not too fussed. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably strip the wire and I'll probably poke it through the via hole. And that way, yeah, because if I feel that full of solder, it's just going to be, we're just not going to have a good time. So cat's in the litter box, probably a good time to pause it. I'll fire up the soldering iron and we'll get to work. Okay, the soldering iron is fired up and the cat's finished doing her business in the laundry, so let's crack to it. So, nope, still got a bit more apparently. I'm not sure if that's coming up on the microphone or not, but whatever. Let's crack on. So I'm using relatively thick wire here. It probably doesn't need to be this thick, but when I'm dealing with power stuff, I just like to make sure all bases are covered. Usually I use really thin wire for, you know, just like signal wire, but I found this in my box of wires, or my little baggie of wires. So let's more or less cut this to size. So I probably want to go, yeah, about that much. How does that look? Yeah, good enough, I reckon. Here's my stripper. These things are great. Way better than the crappy thing I was using beforehand. You just, I don't know if you've never used one, you basically just put it in the teeth there about as much as you want it to be stripped. Look at that, magic. Way quicker than the method I was using beforehand with a crappy stripper. Okay, so I think this one's just a little bit longer, just by chance. So I think I'll stick that through the through hole, the via, I should say. So will it be too thick? Will it just go? Oh, look at that! Perfect. That goes in nice and easily. So I'm just got to figure out a way to hold it there in place so we can sort of solder it in. Okay, this is my solution. Not the most elegant in the world, I know, but it'll do, just for a temporary measure. You can just barely see the bit of copper sticking up through the hole there. There we go. I think that's done it. I usually use a bit of flux, but I figured this was so simple I wasn't really going to bother. So in theory, if we take this tape off, try not to rip the wire in the meantime, we should hopefully be golden. There we go, sticking in place. Fantastic. So let's route this over here. I might just put a little bit of solder on this tip first. That always helps, just to make everything stick together. Don't need to put much. I can't say that's the most graceful soldering job in the world, but We have the technology to check to make sure that it's connecting where it needs to go. So I'll just put my multimeter in continuity. And we'll just check against this point and the solder pad, not the wire, to see that it's connecting. Which it is, by the reassuring beep. I could even test this little blob here. It's a secondary test against this. There we go, and it looks like my multimeter is about to run out of battery, but it's told me what I need to know, so that's good. All right, let's quickly bung this thing back together and give it a test. So, reassembly should just be as easy as disassembly. So, obviously these contacts here go into those two slots. Oh, I've got to plug in the motor. Can't forget about the motor. This is the most important component. So we should just be able to plug that bad boy back in. The correct way around, mind you. Cool. And how did this go in? Gosh. Are they going sideways, or did it just sit in there like this? I think it just sat in there like that, didn't it? Is that right? No, I don't think that is. I think it goes the other way. Yeah, it goes like that. That makes more sense. So it's rubbing up against the thingamabob. So obviously there's some tabs here on the back. We just need to slot those in first. Close it. So I'm not going to bother putting in the screws just yet, because if I put in the screws, it's not going to work and I'm going to have to unscrew them. So we'll head into the retro gaming room, we'll plug it in and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't explode. Okay, here's the test. Just to show you, there is no batteries installed. All right, let's just do a bunch of crashing. I found that was the best way to test the Rumble Pak before. Guess what, guys? I'm getting absolutely zilch. Not getting any vibration whatsoever. Yeah, that's a bit crap, isn't it? It's a bit fucked. So, I've soldered it to the wrong bloody hole. I even pointed out which hole to solder it to. Ooh. As you can see there in the reference photo. My own words, above the E and the N of the Nintendo logo. Look at this. That's not what I did, is it? There, it's in the right bloody hole. Let's try again. Right, internet kudos to you if you noticed that mistake before I did. Back in the retro gaming room for another test. See, this is why you don't put the screws back in. I actually remembered to put my lights on this time, and look at this. We've got a cat. Say hello. Cool. Anyway, let's test this out. Goodbye, cat. Please don't knock over the camera on your way out. So let's crash into something. It's working. Cool. So that was a bit embarrassing, but I guess these sort of things happen in these videos and usually I edit them out. So this is real, Roy. This is real. It's working. I don't know, there's not really any way to really show it to you, I guess. So you're just gonna have to trust me, but it is. So it does feel a little bit lighter on because I think with the Rumble, they're relying on the batteries to be inside to give it a little bit of heft. like it feels fine, like it's not awful or anything, but you can buy dummy batteries. So if it really bothers you, that might be worth doing, or maybe just putting some other material in there just to pad it out a little bit. Obviously don't use anything conductive because those battery contacts are still connected. Not really sure what happens if you put in batteries now. I probably wouldn't, and honestly you don't need to, so why would you, but consider yourself warned. So that's that. A simple project, made not so simple by my incompetence, but whatever. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.